Put that work in, only way you getting on. If they asking what it is you really want, why don't you say what's on your mind now? Just let them know. You'll regret it if you don't. Gotta say what's on your mind now. Just let it go. Get your thought out like it's water. Let it say what's on your mind now. Just let them know. You'll regret it if you don't. Gotta say what's on your mind now. Just let it go. Get your thought out like it's water. Let it flow. If they draw the line.
All right, welcome to, oh, there you are. Welcome to Passion and Faith. I am your host, Tashanea Whitlow. Today, we are honoring the survivors. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We are amplifying the voices of survivors today. And today I want to introduce you to the guests that we have. We have Brooke Baran. Baran was diagnosed with breast cancer in her 30s. Brooke, you were 35?
My first symptom showed up on my 40th birthday.
40th birthday. We also have Nurse Noel. Nurse Noel came dipped in all pink. She is going to be our medical expert, but she too has a story of survival. So without further ado, let's just jump right into our episode. Brooke, why don't you, first of all, how are you?
I am great.
And I ask that because you are our voice that we're amplifying. You are representing for breast cancer survivors on this episode. Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure. So like we said, I had a symptom show up on my 40th birthday. I was actually traveling with my husband and celebrating and saw a strange type of spot on the inside of my bra. Thought not much of it. Subsequently, it reappeared for a few weeks. Finally said, we got to check this out, went to the doctor. He basically said, let's get you in for a mammogram and a breast MRI. They told me through my imaging, everything was fine. The doctor had taken the fluid and put it on a slide. Think of like an old school science slide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And sent it to the lab. And so a couple days later, he called me and he said, I don't really like the report on the slide. Even though your imaging is good, I'd like you to potentially see a breast surgeon. And so I made that appointment. In the interim, they got a breast MRI done, and that also was negative. I went to the breast surgeon. She said, be irresponsible to not take a biopsy. So we went in for a surgical biopsy. She thought to her naked eye things looked well. In point of fact, it didn't.
You were coasting through these.
Clear. Everything was going really well.
Out of the
literally,
the hospital.
Literally.
I know the feeling.
I came out of these exams and I would, dance across the room to my husband and say, "We're good." We got the results of the biopsy back, and the entire sample was filled end to end and top to bottom, so it was all cancer. And because of the fact that my cancer wasn't showing up in the imaging, they suggested that even though I had what they believed to be DCIS, so the cancer was in place, and not invasive, they actually made the suggestion that I have a double mastectomy because they couldn't see any of that cancer. The screening wasn't working.
Before you get into that, I just want to ask you, what came to mind when you heard the words, you have cancer?
It was shocking. I think mentally you start to prepare for it because you're in and out of these exams and going for these things, and you have a symptom and you're sort of saying, well, I guess I have to be ready for somebody to give me that kind of news, but you're not really ready. The world stands still all of a sudden. I remember my first call to my husband, and I said, Brian, you have to come home. And he said, why? And I said, I have cancer. And we just both started to cry.
Yeah, wow.
It was a moment of time that I will never forget. It was or, life-changing for sure. Those
for
words.
sure. Nurse Noel, how common is Brooke's story where, I mean, she just had some spotting that a lot of women and men would probably blow off, not think about. She did her due diligence, went to the hospital, had the screenings. For a lot of people, they probably would have stopped at perhaps the second clearing, right? Like, I'm good. I don't need to come back.
It's very common. Thank you for having me on, first of all.
It's my pleasure.
It's very common. What we don't see is people coming in for any abnormalities, women and men, and I'm always including men in it, because men also get breast cancer. We don't see the dimpling, the nipple discharge, the rash, the indentation, along with the lumps, because it's not only you feel a lump. It's all of those symptoms, any abnormality. So we do see a lot of abnormalities, but in your case, going to get mammogram and then going to get the ultrasound and then going to get the MRI, you have to advocate for yourself, because sometimes we don't know. Everyone is not a healthcare professional, but hopefully you have a breast surgeon or a primary provider that is advocating for you. And if they don't advocate for yourself, hey, I want to get this. Hey, I want to get genetic testing. Hey, I want to get more. But we do see it a lot.
And for those of you out there watching, please put your questions in the chat. We want to answer them. We want to get to them. So feel free to chime in. Or if you know a survivor, or if you know someone who passed, unfortunately, from breast cancer, shout them out in the chat as well. Honor them, and we'll honor them here as well on Passion and Faith. Brooke, talk about, how did you find the strength to face a double mastectomy at 40 years old?
You don't really have a choice, Tashanea. I think it's an interesting question. How were you strong? Well, you have a you can lie down and pretend it's not happening and play dead, or you can pick yourself up and hope that you have an amazing support system, which I did have. My family, my husband, my friends, and just say, we're going to do this. And the only thing that mattered during that time was getting well. I was really lucky to have medical professionals who gave me amazing advice. I was in the gym working out when I got diagnosed, and they said, your only mission for the next 2 weeks while you prepare is to work out twice a day, if you normally work out once a day. You have to go in as strong as possible. You have to eat well. You have to take good care of yourself. And I think that advice made all the difference. But you don't have a choice. You just have to find the strength.
And so after you had, walk us through what that treatment was like.
So I actually also did something else that's fairly uncommon. I had my double mastectomy and went right to reconstruction. So most women get expanders, and they ease that muscle into expansion to get ready for that implant. Because I was young and because I was physically fit, I said I didn't want to have those multiple surgeries after my initial mastectomy. And so I said, I want to try to do it all at once. It made it pretty brutal.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you a question. Did they do the rectus abdominis and make a... No?
I didn't have enough body fat for them to go natural reconstruction. And so I have just regular implants.
Okay.
I have lots of people in my life who have done natural reconstruction, pluses and minuses to both, I think, when you go through the process.
And Nurse Noel, give us those plain terms, because I'm listening, I'm like, what?
So
what is that? Explain that to us.
There's two ways you can do the implants, like you did, and then they can also take the fat and muscle from the abdomen and make a flap and construct breasts like that.
Wow.
And then they would tattoo nipples and so on. But it's an automatic tummy tuck. Yeah. So, but a lot of women who don't have that, I don't have that problem. Like my belly's fat. So I have a lot of fat. So, but if you have fat, then it's easier. But if you don't, then they would opt for the implants.
And thankfully, by the grace of God, you won't have to go through that.
Right.
Yeah. You have your own story of survival, which we'll talk about a little later in the podcast. And so you were saying you did reconstructive as well as the mastectomy all at the same time.
All at the same
Is that
time.
recommended? It sounds very painful.
They weren't sure whether they could. Really, the plastic surgeon said it would be a little bit of a audible in the operating room, depending on how things went. They were able to make that happen, which was great in that I didn't have multiple surgeries, but recovering from that was very difficult. It wasn't just a double mastectomy. I had a lot of pain, and your muscles are trying to adjust to something that they're no longer attached to your body. They've been pulled away, and it was a lot. But 3 days in the hospital after, and then I got to go home. I went home with drains. They're pretty brutal. They're the worst part, I think, of all of this.
And we're looking at a photo of you. Is this?
That's from my biopsy,
okay.
yeah. And then there's that was getting ready to go home from the hospital. It was a journey. So that's 3 days after my set. Yeah, there I am. You'll see drains in the bottom.
Yeah, you see it.
And those stay with you for a while. They go home with you, and you have to take care of them. And but yep, it was 3 days in the hospital, and then each day I would get up, and my husband would hold my hand, and we would go for a walk. And each day we would find one place a little bit further than the day before, and we would take those extra steps. In the beginning it was 2 extra steps and 4 extra steps, and then over time we were able to just get up and say, let's go for a walk, and not have to think about the steps. And
I think what stood out to me, and I don't know if you noticed this as well, Nurse Noel, was each photo you had a smile on your face.
Yes.
Each photo you had a smile on your face.
Resilience.
Talk about the importance of a positive attitude when going through something like that.
It's imperative that you be in a positive mental space for wound healing, for tissue regeneration, and also having support. You talk about your husband a lot. That is so important. So your support system, your tribe, is key. They need to give you emotional support. And sometimes they just be there when you have to lash out and scream, and they're your punching bag, and hopefully they understand that this is what it is, and it won't last forever.
Yes, it's a wrinkle in time. And so with you going through that, you turned your pain into purpose, because you found, based on our conversations, extreme relief through therapeutic massages.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us all a little bit about that, and how did you discover that was going to help you in your recovery?
Yeah, sure. Basically, I was suffering after my surgery because I had spent so much time in the gym. And so I was laying so much that other parts of my body started to hurt, Tashanea. And so a friend of ours recommended a massage therapist who was actually willing to come to the house. And literally the first time she massaged my feet, and it brought a lot of had this release of good energy. And I said to her, could you come back tomorrow? And we started seeing one another, and she ended up saying, I had a lot of mobility issues because of the surgery, and on one side I had excessive bruising. And so she said, if you're willing to let me talk to your doctor, I'd be willing to explore what I can do to be helpful. And so Kim was amazing. She and my surgeon had a lengthy conversation, and Kim started to really dive into how to help, not just the other parts of my body. And she really did her own research and started figuring out how massage therapy can be really helpful to oncology patients. And since then, we've started a center in Connecticut called the Healing Therapies Through Sharing. Massage isn't really covered by your insurance company. Again, right, we're talking about being advocates for yourself and finding ways that are, meaningful to help other people.
And you've helped a lot of people.
And we've helped quite
more
a
than
few
300.
people. Yes, yes.
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah. So massage is a great way to get off pain medication faster. It helps with lymphatic drainage for sure. So the discomfort that you get, the excessive swelling. Massage is really a great way to start to recover and to find that sense of peace and being grounded again and not having to constantly be in search of narcotics. And it's also a time, an hour or so when you're just somebody's sole attention is on you and making you feel better. And the massage therapists actually take a lot of that negative energy. They have to carry it in order for them to do their jobs so well.
Nurse Noel, can you talk a little bit about why massage therapy is so beneficial?
Well, what I see is that it increases the endorphins. So it's like when you hug someone, endorphins are released, and it's that happy, serotonin, happy neurotransmitter that gets you a little lit, puts a smile on your face, like those pictures that we just saw, those smiles. It also decreases pain. It increases blood flow to that area. So, and as you said, the lymphatic drain, you want to get that fluid out of the area, out of the tissue, and into the lymphatic system so it can be expelled.
Yeah.
Now, Brooke, we've had multiple conversations, and I said that I was going to wait until you and I actually had this moment together to share. You were so instrumental. We spoke last year, and I was telling you I was avoiding my mammogram. And I was avoiding it because cancer runs in my family, and I will admit, I was ignorant to the fact. I'm like, I have small breasts. Nothing can live in here. My breasts are too small. Ain't nothing gonna be in there. And I really thought that. But it was your words, and you said, you know what? The next time that you and I talk, I want to hear that you made your appointment. And I did, and they found something. I ended up having my mammogram, and then I ended up having an ultrasound, and then I ended up having a biopsy. And I remember when I was having the biopsy, my endorphins, my positive energy, it was on 120, and I kept saying, I was reciting a Bible verse. And I remember when they stuck the needle in me, it literally just popped out. And I felt like a superwoman. I was like, oh, this is working. My affirmations are working. Nothing's going on. I'm going to be healthy and I'm going to be cleared. And then the results came back. They were concerned. So I ended up having surgery. But by the grace of God, it was not cancer. Amazing. But I say all that because I had to get the BRCA test done. And this is where I want to bring you in, Nurse Noel. That is not covered by insurance.
It's not.
It's only covered if you have a family history of cancer.
And also, so if you have a family history, and also definitely if you have a male that had breast cancer, because as you said, with smaller breasts, men do get breast cancer also, so that is a trigger for insurance companies to approve. But you have to advocate for yourself. That test is very expensive, but your life is more expensive. So I tell people, I'm like, yes, I won't tell you what I tell them, but the advice that I give them, but yes, you need to get tested if you have that history, that family history.
Yeah, so thank you. I said I was going to thank you once you and I had an opportunity to sit down. I truly do thank you, because I believe in my heart of hearts, I probably would have continued to skip that appointment out of fear, mainly out of fear. And I say that to anyone out there that's watching, just go. Just go. You rather know what's going on, right?
Absolutely. Early detection is so key. And I'm glad you're good. you know, all those steps that you went through, Tashanea, I think in some cases they're the hardest part.
Totally.
Not knowing, them saying, we have, you know, if you get an all clear, you're good, you dance. If they say we're worried, that stage between worry and somebody saying you're okay or you're not okay, that's really where your faith has to come in, because you are, it's like a gray area. Nobody's paying attention to you yet. You're just out there waiting. And you got to do what you just said, right? You have to be your own cheerleader. You have to be positive and stay positive. If you start to let the world get you down and you start to think negative thoughts, I think it does really change the trajectory of your diagnosis potentially.
Well, Nurse Noel, I want to bring you in because we want to talk about your story. And many of you may recognize Nurse Noel. She was also a medical expert with Dr. Oz. You've done many TV appearances on the local, the national level. You are that girl. I'm going to give you that. You are that girl. Yes, clock it. She's doing the clock it symbol. But we're showing you right now with the former Surgeon General, Vivek Murphy. Hoda, who also went through.
That was actually at a breast cancer awareness program that we had, the both of us. So.
Yeah, and she went through her own breast cancer survival story. But Nurse Noel, you didn't have breast cancer. You were diagnosed with colon cancer. And I know this is not Colon Cancer Awareness Month, but we are still highlighting your story because it's so important. You were 25 years old? Yes.
I was 25 years old. My father died of colon cancer at 43, and I was 12 when he died. So, you know, and we didn't know, but his aunt had colon cancer. And when I had
43, the same age as Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
The actor who passed away from colon cancer.
He was 43. He was so young, and I was 25. I was a baby nurse. I was just new registered nurse, and I was working in Brooklyn, and I had hemorrhoids. So I had hemorrhoids since I was 6. And I say this, I'm very transparent about it because hemorrhoids saved my life. I was standing on 44th Street in Manhattan because I also worked in music. So I was at up at the label, and I had to go home. I looked in the yellow pages. This is how long ago it was. I looked in the yellow pages or white pages, and I said, first doctor I see in Jersey, I'm going. I went. Dr. Brody, he was the first one that I saw, and he says, oh, you have hemorrhoids. Let me do a sigmoidoscopy, a flexi-sigmoidoscopy, which is in the office. They just take a tube and they just look around to see if there's any internal structures or anything like that. So he did that. He says, oh, I see some polyps. I'll take them, let's do a colonoscopy. I'll take them off. Colonoscopy is when they do the entire colon and they, put you to sleep for that. So I went, I did that, and they have to send everything that they do, they have to send it to pathology, and it came back carcinoma. And I remember in the office, my mother, who's also a registered nurse, who was also a registered nurse, she just looked at me and her face went blank, and I think I passed out because I don't remember anything. I remember them like putting water on my face, and I was crying, and I'm like, this is an automatic death sentence. I'm seeing my dad.
25.
Yeah, and I saw my dad walking around at 87 pounds, and I'm like, this is not my life. And I had so many things that I wanted to do, and so he says, I'm going to take it off. It's polyps, so we'll take it off. We'll do the, and then we'll test the margins. We won't do a resection. It's not that much, but we'll see. And I had to go to colonoscopies every 3 months, and I changed my diet. I'm a vegetarian now. I abstain. I never drank, so I never drank in my life. I never smoked. Stayed away from that, and tried to eat a healthy diet. I tried with the sugar, but it's just calling me and calling me. It keeps calling me and calling me. But I try, exercise, and I'm clear. It's been a long time.
That's amazing.
It's been a long time, but I'm clear.
25 years?
I'm 51, so it's been 26 years.
Amazing.
That's amazing. How long have you been clear, Brooke?
7.5.
Can't wait till we get to that
Me neither.
milestone. 25, right? Well, ladies, our time is starting to run out. What do you want women listening today to take away from both of your stories? Nurse Noel, we can start with you.
Have faith. Know you're normal. Because if you know you're normal, then you'll know you're abnormal. You know it's not any cookie cutter, this is what it's supposed to look like, this is not what it's supposed to look like. Some people have one breast larger than one. Some people have, some people were born with inverted nipples. But know you're normal. So if anything happens, any deviation, you can say, let me go get that checked out. And don't be afraid to get it checked out, because I too found a lump in my breast when I was 35, and I was afraid to get a mammogram. And as a nurse, I was afraid. And I did the needle aspiration and the stereotactic, and it was all clear, but I was still afraid. And we need to, have that person behind you, or that tribe behind you, as I told you, to hold our hands.
Yes.
And our feet.
And it doesn't matter the size of your breasts.
Yes.
I'm going to say that because, as I said for myself, dense breasts, sometimes that's harder to locate cancer because the breasts are dense.
Absolutely.
So what do you want people to take away from your story, Brooke?
I think, like Nurse Noel said, knowing your body is really important. Trust yourself, and to really not be afraid. The worst is not knowing. And if you do get bad news, to just find that one thing that keeps you centered and keeps you moving, and to know that doesn't mean your life is over. In some ways, it looks more beautiful on the other side.
That is gorgeous. That's beautiful.
It is a bit prettier when you get through it all. You get to pick up on different things, and you see things through a very different lens, and it's a little bit of magic on the other side.
What kept you grounded, Brooke?
For sure, my husband was one of them. My family, and quite honestly, I didn't want my journey to end. There were still things I wanted to do, and places I wanted to see, and an impact that I wanted to have, even in my own small way, on the world. And so I just kept saying, not today. That's not how it ends, not today.
Well, speaking of helping others, can you shout out your nonprofit?
Sure. It is Healing Therapies Through Sharing. You can find us on the internet, and we're happy to help, and we raise money so that if you can't afford it, we're there for you.
Awesome. And Nurse Noel, how can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I am official Nurse Noel, Noel, and I have a website, nursenoel.com, and you can throw me out a shout out, and I answer.
Yeah. I think one last thing I will say is just, thank you, beautiful ladies, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And lifting up your voices, sharing your story. We lost Ananda Lewis, the journalist, the VJ this year. I believe she was 43, if I'm not mistaken.
50. She was in her 50s.
Was she in her 50s?
She's older than me, yeah.
Okay.
52.
She was young, beautiful young woman earlier this year, and that was very shocking for a lot of us. So hopefully through your stories, that will empower people to get checked out if things don't feel right. And just, as you mentioned, Nurse Noel, know your base.
Yes.
Know your baseline. And with that, thank you, ladies, for joining us
Thank you
for
for
this
having us.
episode of Passion and Faith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Matt, cue the music. we need to lighten up this mood.
Why don't you say what's on your mind now? Just let them know. You'll regret it if you don't. Gotta say what's